kept reading and listening to people saying, just get something done. Make something, get something done. I originally planned for it to do that, just to like have a one shot of something, some geeky kid accomplishing a goal. But then stuff just started popping in my head and it just got bigger and bigger, but it was controlled. It wasn't as big as that one idea I had where I'm over here and I'm over there. No, it was more, oh wow, yeah, this connects. This would actually work. Okay, let me put this down. I need to write this down. And then I had a world, I had a small story, and I had characters. I just started, I just did. Because one thing my wife always tells me is, you know, I started a few things, but I never really complete them. I had it in my mind, like I had to complete this thing. I have to complete it. Even if it's trash, I need to complete it. It started from, I needed to complete this idea and I need to have it finished.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Comics Grind. I am one of your hosts, Nico Rodriguez.
And I'm Ken, aka Comic Ken on YouTube.
And welcome back to another weekly comics discussion. Thank you so much for joining us. Today we have another special guest on the show. He is comic book creator, illustrator, most known for his fantastic indie book called Wrench Tale. His name is RASHEED ODURO. RASHEED, dude, thanks for joining the show today, man. How you doing?
Fantastic. Thanks for having me, gentlemen.
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah, so I think, Ken, you met RASHEED at Comic IndieCon, yeah?
Yeah, that was the first time we met.
And then I met RASHEED first. I'm pretty sure, RASHEED, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was at Eastern RimCon, right?
Yeah, it was at Eastern Rim.
Yeah, but it was nice. So tell the viewers out there kind of how you heard of my name, because it's a pretty funny story. Actually, I thought it was whenever we first met, but let them know.
Yeah, so I was doing some artwork, right? And I was trying to get more involved in the community. And so I just went on Google and I typed in, artists in Houston, just to try and reach out to artists. And then I saw artists, I forgot the title exactly, but it was something along the lines of artist has his artwork stolen, and I said, what? And I clicked on it. And then there was an interview with Nico on there talking about the situation where at Comicpalooza, people stole his art from his vehicle. And I said, oh, yeah. Man, that's cold, man. That's cold. That's cold. And so, yeah, ever since then, I've been following him. And then he said he was going to be at a Eastern Rim. And I said, let me actually just venture out and say what's up. And so, I saw him there, and yeah, here we are now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that was this year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So I got myself broken into in May, and then Eastern Rim was in August, September, whatever that was.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I just think it's funny because it's like, didn't come across me on like Instagram or anything, just like came across on like a police report video of me talking about like, oh yeah, I just lost 60 pages of artwork, and I don't know what to do now.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. RASHEED, before we kind of get into some of your inspiration and kind of go into all of your stuff, as the viewers know, and as you know as well, we do a segment every week kind of called the weekly grind segment, kind of talking about a little bit of what we did in comics, what we did in art, all that kind of good stuff. Let's go ahead and start off with RASHEED, man. RASHEED, what have you been doing? Some comics work this week, some illustrative work. What you got going on?
Oh yeah, most definitely, man. I've been working on the second issue of my comic, Wrench Tale, and it's very. I've been working on penciling. I've been working on using references because I used to be stubborn and I used to try not to use references, and now I'm using references, and so things are coming out a lot better. So I'm learning how to use them, right? So I'm learning how to use references, and I also worked on my other comic, Sheet and Show, and so I'm trying to post more often with that because I've been sort of lazy and lethargic in terms of doing work, but I am definitely stepping it up this year. So it was mainly working on the second issue of French Tale and Cheat and Shell this week.
Yeah, that's good stuff, man. Here in a second, we'll kind of get into because Sheed and Shell and Wrench Tail are pretty different, and from each other. Well, I mean, there's still some stylistic things that you can certainly tell. There's some crossover there, but
Right.
but yeah, we'll get into like the inspirations behind those two projects.
Do you have any of that stuff on you right now? Like, do you have a page from either of those that you can show?
Physically, no.
Darn.
Yeah, I mean they're all on Instagram, but yeah, physically, no. I haven't printed Sheet and Shell. That's the thing I'm actually going to do for the next con.
Nice.
So it's like all digital creation.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, dope.
Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, dude, that's awesome. I look forward to that one kind of getting printed, because I kind of like that. I'm more into like the slice of life kind of indie stuff. So that's kind of like right up in the alley. But you do have that Akira box set back there, I think I see. So that's a cool thing to have in the shot.
Nice. One of my favorite artists, man. Top three.
Awesome, dude. Ken, man, how about yourself?
Oh man, this week has just been mostly like editing on YouTube videos and podcast stuff. It's just like part of the weekly. I don't want to be cheesy,
grind.
like it's part of the weekly grind now. Yeah. It's just like it's almost like a homework assignment. It's like I gotta actually get this done so I can move forward in my career and whatnot. And then I'll work on pages after the episode is up, or after finish editing or something. So this is like the next page in chapter 3 of Air Rider, and this one's not done yet, but it's just like kind of a comedic flow page. And it's basically been that and responding to YouTube comments, and that's what my week has been like. So
nice. Got a solid balance between real life work and fake life work on the internet.
yeah man. My also my dishwashing job just started back up again, so I'm just like, all right, well, gotta put the balance between the two again.
Yeah. No, that's cool, man. That's some good stuff. Let's see. What have I done? What have I done this week? Still kind of as I've been talking about for a while, graphic novel preparation, all that kind of stuff. Making some real good improvements on there. As I kind of get more involved into that, and when it gets a little more finalized, I'll kind of talk more about it. But right now I don't really have anything to kind of show for it yet, but soon. Other than that, let's see. It wasn't this week, but last week. I'm sure you guys saw the Todd McFarlane Spawnuary kind of thing going on. This month, basically. What is it? The first week, he's basically kind of holding like a competition thing where it's the draw Spawn, Gunslinger Spawn, and 2 other characters from Spawn. I don't remember who. But he has like a new prompt each week, but in like the best ones get selected for official Spawn covers.
Nice.
I'm not really in the game of like trying to get it done, but I was kind of like, I'm just going to do like my own, since Spawn's kind of trending right now. It's kind of one of those what do you call it, experimentation art things where you since it's trending right now, and you would think that there's a lot of like follows going for like the hashtag and all that. So I was like, let me just do it and kind of see. So I did one last week, the watercolored Gunslinger Spawn.
Hey.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I like that.
So he's kind of, you can't really see it that well, but it's kind of he's real lanky, he's real thin, kind of like Jack Skellington Gunslinger Spawns there.
Right.
Did that one in watercolor. And this one I actually I did pencils and inks digitally, and then I printed that out and watercolored it from there. So that was a little more of like experimentation stuff. And you can see I have like a time-lapse video on my Instagram if you guys want to go and check it out, just see me painting it. But it was pretty fun. It's kind of fun because so one thing I was thinking about this the other day, like I don't know if Ken, I know you watercolor a little bit, right?
Yeah, I used to watercolor a lot.
Yeah, okay. And then Rasheed, do you paint much, or is that kind of in your wheelhouse, or
digitally?
Yeah. But like I've figured out like how important the way watercolor dries is, and meaning like, so if you watercolor on watercolor paper, it's going to dry so much differently on like watercolored Bristol board, which is really interesting to me. So like I printed this one out on Bristol board, partially because my printer is kind of weird and like dimensions are weird. So like it can only take like I think 10 by 14 and 11 by 17. And I've got a whole bunch of 11 by 17 Bristol, but I also kind of really like the way watercolor dries on Bristol. It doesn't absorb so much, so it's almost like it gives it such a watery effect on it when it dries, especially if you're doing like skies and stuff.
Right.
So like that was something I really enjoyed kind of experimenting with when I was watercoloring the spawn there on 11 by 17 Bristol.
Nice.
So that was fun. And then just other than that, kind of getting involved into some other comic story stuff. So some other ideas have been percolating a lot, enough to where they're sticking with me, to where I've kind of started putting pencil to paper and getting that stuff done. I've been experimenting a lot with the digital blue lines, printing that out, inking it from there, and then scanning it back in to kind of put color and stuff on it. So I'm 95% sure, well, not 95, maybe let's scale that back to like 75% sure that's how I want to do my next project.
Right.
Not so rigorous on the painting because I love the painting stuff, but it really takes a lot of time.
Right.
So yeah, so been getting some real cool story nuggets lately. So I've been kind of experimenting with that, doing some design stuff for it. So yeah, man, that's kind of been my week. It's been a solid week, I think, for sure.
I just want to say that's an incredible skill, man. Watercoloring, because
yeah.
I mean, unless you know how it's going to turn out, like you don't know how it's going to turn out.
Yeah, it's but I think that's why, and I'm not like a great watercolorist, by any means, but I've been doing a 120-page book of watercolors. You learn some shit going through it. So
right.
I've kind of learned that the immediacy of it and sometimes the messiness of it, I really embrace that portion of it. And I think that's what really makes it kind of fun for me. Like I love splattering. Like I splatter too much now, but it's kind of just, you're just so in the moment when you're painting, and I think that's why I like it so much.
Nice.
But yeah, but enough of the watercoloring stuff.
Yeah.
Let's move over to Rasheed here and introduce him more to the audience out there watching. Rasheed, man, it's been a pleasure getting to know you over the last 6 months or whatever it's been, man. But kind of don't know too much about like your kind of like your inspirations, your like the comics you kind of grew up reading, what kind of drew you to the medium originally. And we kind of want to get into that here to kind of kick off. So yeah, man.
Yeah.
So comics wise, what were some of those like first comics that kind of drew you into reading these things?
Man. Yeah, Also, it doesn't have to be comics. It could be like anything that
Yeah.
kind of drew you towards the medium and then made you want to actually make comics.
Well, I mean, I think the first thing that got me sort of interested in comics was, ironically, the Saturday morning comics, like X-Men, like Dog City, Eat the Cats, Freakazoid, Away, all those, that whole lineup back
Oh,
in
the cartoons.
the cartoons, I'm sorry, back in the 90s, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and then from there, I got into X-Men. My friend and I started collecting Ultra Flare cards, and then of course Jim Lee. Like at that time, he was the guy, and I just thought, wow, all this artwork, all this coloring, they get to do this for a living, type deal.
Was there a specific thing that you liked about Jim Lee's art?
Hatching. I liked his hatching because he's able to illustrate action, even though like one of my major gripes about, I would say, Western artists is it's like they're very statuesque, and so he's sort of statuesque, but I feel like his hatching helped him a little bit, and so I started learning about that, the technique, and then from there on, my friend told me something about like Japanese artwork, and the thing that introduced me to the Japanese culture was Ninja Scroll. This movie called Ninja Scroll, right?
Yeah,
that's like top 5 movies.
Dope, yeah.
Even now, it stands the test of time.
Even I've seen Ninja Scroll. So
okay, I was wondering, do you have your credits on you? Like,
I got them. I got a little bit there, man. Just a little tiny bit.
There you go. But yeah, the Ninja Scroll, and then from then on, Fist of the North Star, some of this old stuff that's classic. And then I found out that this stuff was from something called manga, right? Something and it's in black and white. Like I had no time for that. Why would I go read this in black and white when these guys are doing this in full color? And then so I just started getting deeper into comics, and I started getting into more like some of these artists that weren't super famous at the time, because I'm sort of jumping around a little bit, but like LaShawn Thomas, and then some of the people that he ran with, and this is when I jumped on DeviantArt, and then this was around 2007, and this is when, like, for me, like the peak of artists were on DeviantArt. A lot of people there, like where they are now, they were all on there around that time, and so I was just looking at galleries, getting jealous left and right, and then something around this time, I got introduced to something called Naruto. And then Naruto, from then on, it was just, I was reading the manga, then I was reading watching the anime, and it was just, I got hooked. And then I wasn't even on the One Piece yet, but I got hooked. And then I started reading this thing that I used to criticize. It was in black and white, and I got hooked. Like there was just so many elements that I grew to like versus like standard comic books here in the West.
What would you say are the elements that like really hooked you in, like that really drew you in there?
Story, character design, and the fact that not everyone, there are different weights and sizes. Not everyone is muscle bound. You know what I mean? Not everyone is wearing tights. And that's a whole controversial thing, man. But I just couldn't. Like, don't get me wrong. Obviously, the Justice League, and that's another show I watched too. And now Justice League Unlimited, I got so into that. But there's a time where it's like, man, I want something a little different, something unique. And so here you got a guy who put a interesting spin on the ninja world, and then that blew up. And then I got into One Piece, and then after One Piece is when I felt like, all right, I got to do something, because that's when I saw different techniques and different, like the way that it was being drawn and illustrated. And I found out it was from one guy, and sometimes an editorial team. but one guy did all this, you know, versus having a whole team of guys. It just blew me away. And then I looked at the authors and the dedication that they put to their craft, and I connected with it. And so around this time, you know, I had my own little. I started making up stories, you know, as we all do, and you know, I got familiar with like different types of pencils, different types of paper. Like you were talking about watercolor, because water painting too is like you have to have a certain type of paper. You have to know how it dries. You have to know the color mix. That is such a skill. And some of these guys, they were just talking about different inking techniques and then different pencils and how it lands on the paper, different types of paper. So I just started studying all that like crazy. And then
actually, I wanted to clarify, what age did you know you wanted to join in making comics?
I would say it had to be around 20, because I remember after I left high school, you know, I was focused on, you know, getting a job, and then at the job is when I started drawing more, because I was at a dial-up call center. I mean, I don't know if you know what sort of dial-up. Yeah, I was at a dial-up call center, and so obviously we're sitting there at the cubicle, and so I'm sitting there drawing things, and that's when I got turned on to like LaShawn, and he was part of a group. I forgot the name of the group. Long time.
There's a whole group.
Yeah, it was him. Karen, I think Karen Grant, and some other guys. Artzilla. I think it was called Artzilla.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it was like him and I think 3 other guys, and it was like a group. They had their own site, and so I got turned on to them and their comics. And then he was inspirational because he made his comic, and then he got a Netflix special. So
right, yeah.
But yeah, I would have to say 20, because that's when I was at the job and I realized, yeah, like I want to do this. I got to do this some capacity, you know.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I kind of like hearing you say that, Rasheed, because there's so many cases out there, and I think with Ken too, you know, where when you're 4, 5, 6, 7 years old, like, you know, you want to draw comics and do comics for a living.
Yeah.
You know, and like, you know, whether, you know, parents are supportive of that or not, but like, you know what you want to do then, and then like the people around you kind of support that. So it's like almost as, you know, kind of a support system to kind of throw you into the career. Maybe you go to art school, maybe you don't, but you keep on advancing. But you know, there's cases out there where you don't know that you want to draw so early. You know, you don't know where that you want to make comics, you know, at 7 years old. It's kind of a thing that you kind of you absorb all this material, and you kind of start formulating in your head, and then it needs to come out, and then you realize. So I think there was a podcast or something I was listening to last week, or maybe it was earlier this week, but the guy was like, yeah, my dad was an animator, making a full-time profession as an animator. So like I knew from the very young age that like when I was 5 years old, I wanted to do, you know, something within the art field. So, you know, I studied his things. He taught me all this stuff. And then I went to, now I'm going to art school, this and that. And it's like, damn, I wish I had a little bit of that kind of not fire, but
support,
kind of a head start.
Yeah, that head start, like that foundation into doing it. But
yeah,
you know, I think it can sometimes be maybe glorified a little bit for creators to be like, oh man, like these guys have been doing this since they were, you know, 4 years old. But that's not the case with everybody. You know, it's with some people, it's you develop into it. You know, maybe you have one aspect of it, you know, maybe you're drawing dinosaurs when you're a kid, and that like brings you into this and brings you into that, and then it's sudden, you know, at some point it kind of, you know, it comes to fruition in your mind that you're like, okay, like this is something I really want to do. So I don't know. I like hearing you say that, Rasheed, because you're the first person we've had on that's kind of said they started not that 20 years old is old or anything at all, but a little bit later,
And it's unfortunate too because even after 20, I mean, I wish I had that support too when I was young, but even after 20, man, like around that time, there wasn't too many people who encouraged me to move in that direction. Like I didn't have a pool of people to do that. And I mean, I've been skipping around here in my history, but I went to Comic Con in 2009 in San Diego. Wow. And that was the biggest push in terms of me doing something, so I wonder if, not necessarily Comic Con, but if I had that support when I was young, that system, what would I be doing now? But
dude, I'm right there with you, man. I think about that a lot too, because up till, I mean, semi recently, I've finally kind of started meeting guys like you, Rasheed, like Justin, like all these guys that are like within my area. I don't know, like what that would have meant a few years back, not a few years back, maybe 5, 6, 10 years back. Like if I had people like that were just creative and trying to get all this stuff done, I probably would not have a master's degree. That's for sure. Cause I wouldn't have went and spent the money on going back to school and, doing that stuff.
Yeah.
But, hey, it all plays out how it plays out, I guess. Right.
Yeah. And it was just, I mean, and it's funny you say that because now, I'm talking to you guys now off of me seeing that you had your art stolen, and talk about, it happening, like you just said, like it's happening now. Like there's a community slowly building.
Yeah, dude, 100%. I guess, yeah, go ahead, Ken.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, what were the steps? Like, you started drawing when you were 20. You started like formulating ideas, started putting things together when you were 20. Saw One Piece, saw Naruto. Then, what were the steps that kind of led you to formulating Wrench Tale? Did you have any stories before this? Like, what were your like first steps that kind of got you there?
I had, let's say, 2 stories before Wrench Tale. One, like I said, I was at a call center, and I still want to do them, man, because they're sort of timeless. But I was working at a dial-up call center, and I had a comic about working at a dial-up call center, but there being like a supernatural ninja invasion. And
really,
yeah, because around that time, I was watching Ninja Scroll religiously, man, and it was just so well done to me. And so I wanted to try and combine the elements of Ninja Scroll and the call center. That I didn't really go anywhere with that.
Are you talking about Ninja Scroll, the anime series? Because there's the movie and the series. Were you watching the series as well?
No, I never watched it. I watched a few episodes of the series, and it wasn't great. Like I was already told it wasn't great, and then I watched it, and after watching that masterpiece, no, I'm talking about the movie.
I watched the series. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
What? Whoa. No, I was about to lose it.
No, I didn't even know there was a series. It was only the movie. I've only seen the movie.
Yeah. There is a series. We don't talk about that.
But there was that, and then there was one which was sort of like One Piece. Like I had this massive idea, and I don't know if everybody goes through this.
Yes.
Whenever you're creating something, but you make something too big.
Mm-hmm.
And then you don't have the skill level to accommodate it. You don't have the time to, and so I made something too big. Yeah. And then Wrench Tale was actually, so this was later on when I was going to school, and I thought it'd be a nice tool to help me, learn engineering. And it really didn't, because I thought I was going to have tons of formulas and stuff in there, and it really didn't work out that way.
I was about to say, if you went to engineering school so that you with the sole purpose of making a comic about engineering, that is absolutely epic, dude.
Yeah, that's dedication.
That's true. That's that craft, zoned in, no. But I actually was gonna have Wrench Job just be a project just to say, because I kept reading and listening to people saying, just get something done. Make something, get something done. And I originally planned for it to do that, just to like have a one shot of something, some geeky kid accomplishing a goal. But then stuff just started popping in my head, and it just got bigger and bigger. But it was controlled. It wasn't as big as that one idea I had, where I'm over here and I'm over there. No, it was more, oh wow, yeah, this connects. This would actually work. Okay, let me put this down. I need to write this down. And then I had a world. I had a small story, and I had characters. And then because I think artists like myself, I tend to get lethargic. So I just drew a few frames because I had to learn how to frame. I didn't know how to frame and draw frames and then perspectives and stuff like that. So I went back to the masters. I went back to this area. I went back to him, Katsuhiro. Is it Katsuhiro Otomo? Yeah. Mm-hmm. I went to Akira. I went to Berserk. Berserk's my favorite.
Oh yeah.
Berserk's my favorite. Like that's who I go to study sometimes. But nice. I went to these guys, and then I just started. I just did. Because one thing my wife always tells me is, I start a few things, but I never really complete them.
Oh yeah.
And so I had it in my mind, like I had to complete this thing. I have to complete it, even if it's trash. I need to complete it.
Right.
And so to answer your question, man, it started from I needed to complete this idea, and I need to have it finished. I mean, that's saying it twice, but I need to have it finished. And so I got it finished. And there were times where I'm like, oh man, I don't want to do this, because it was traditional at first. Right, the first few pages were traditional, and then for time's sake, I had to. Well, I didn't have to, but I wanted to complete it digitally. So I saved a lot of time. A few things that I was learning too, like toning and line work, which is a little sketchy. But the toning and all that, I did that. And it helped me. It helped speed up the process, because I didn't know about page ratios.
Oh yeah.
Because I tried to scan in 11 by 17 into the 8 by 11 bed, and I had to piece it together. And it was just so I know you're struggling, Nico, because I've heard you say that too. Like you have to piece it together, and then So I was like, I'm not gonna do that. Let me just borrow my friend's tablet, and then. I got used to the tablet, and then I towards the end of the comic was when I felt like I started getting real comfortable with the tablet and drawing and Photoshop. But yeah.
Nice. So how long from I guess maybe not conception of the idea, but first page to last page and into printing a physical product, like how long did it take you to do a Wrench Tale?
And that was a 45-page one shot, so that would be good to know.
Yeah, it was. I would say it's embarrassing, man.
No, dude, it's fine. This is what everybody, comic creators, people who are watching this stuff, we know it takes a long time.
Yeah, I mean, it had to be like a little over a year.
Dude,
that's good. Yeah,
come on, dude. 45 page.
Yeah, 45 pages.
Book a year. There's nothing embarrassing about that at all.
Yeah, that's like most webcomics. Sometimes webcomics just upload a page per week, and so that's if you count that, then it's pretty much the same.
But see, that's why I feel a little lethargic, because some of these guys, they're putting up pages, I think, weekly. And I'm thinking, how are you doing this? What are you like? Don't you have something else you're doing? Like, how are you able? And then daily, So I forgot the name of the comic, but it was daily. I'm thinking, yeah, I don't know what's going on here. I mean, is it me or no? Go ahead.
Oh, I was about to say, I think a lot of those guys are just like established. Like they've really like they maybe they do it full time, or they just know a style down so well that they can take all the shortcuts and then put it out on a like regular basis, or they got momentum doing it.
Yeah, yeah.
Actually, I wanted to ask, like, when you first started the comic, did you already have a full family by that point?
No, when I started it, I did not.
Oh, really?
No, when I started, it was just my wife and I, and then I went to school, and then that's when we had our first child, and so that I would definitely say that was primarily one of the reasons why it took a year, because I was kind of zoned in. But then, yeah, once my first son came, that's when everything took a back burner. But then that's when Sheed and Show came into the picture, because I wanted to try and incorporate something quick that incorporated myself and my wife. Just
kind of give us the pitch of Sheed and Shell. What's it all about?
Yeah, let me pull it up.
Or maybe not a super refined pitch, but what is it?
I would say it's a comic about an interracial couple, and I love manga so much. It's in black and white, but that's us. I'm black, she's white.
Got it.
Yeah. So I wanted to keep it in black and white, and it's primarily, it's like a couples comic,
right?
Where you have a lot of goofy things happening, and that's what I want from it. Primarily something goofy, but relatable. Because
so it's much more like a comic strip, right? Rather than like a full comic story.
Yeah. And so go ahead.
Oh, I was about to say, like, because looking at it, it reminds me of this other comic that I've seen where it's like this big strong guy and this like little like his wife, and it's just these funny comics that you see online. They're colored, and they're always doing like weird, goofy stuff.
Yeah.
Have you seen those comics? Do you know what it's called?
I don't know the name, but I know which comic you're talking about. And then so when I got into this space, like I didn't realize I got into this space. Like it's not like I was like I saw, oh man, I want to make a couples comic because I see other people do it. No, I got into it, and then people started telling me about that comic that you're telling me about, and I looked at it, and I was amazed, man. I was amazed because I related to a lot of what they were going through. It's a couple and then kids. But yeah, I don't know the name of it. But yeah, I think it's like I think they're not Iranian or Jordanian. Maybe I'm completely off.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I just don't know the name of the comic, or it's like almost like a social media meme comic that just you just see it whenever you're scrolling around and you're like, oh hey, it's them again. And then that's it. It's just weird.
Yeah, they blew up, man. Like I merchandise, and they made a career off of it, or at least I think he does the artwork. But I was just blown away. Made a huge career off of it, something like that.
Yeah, but this is like got that same vibe all down, and it's just like I don't know. It's really strong. Like all the character acting is all there, and the posing is just it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love when I see you post more strips of this stuff, man.
Yeah.
See, I
see it on the timeline.
In this channel, like not channel, but the Instagram, like I don't know what to do with it exactly, right? Because I don't know if I want to keep it just pure Sheed and Shell or post up, Witch Tale, and so
totally. I understand where you're coming from there.
Right.
So does other than you kind of like analyzing, your daily situations for the strip, is it Does your wife have any kind of writing contributions to it and stuff, or is it just kind of you analyzing it? Because you put by Sheed and Shell there, so I don't know if does she have some some hand in it?
Most definitely. You know, I don't want to put anything up online that'll like embarrass her or anything. So, because I had the idea, you know, once Wrench Tail took a back seat, I had the idea, and so I told her about it, and it was more of every other issue is going to be our idea. So I think the first one was her idea, and I think the second one was my idea. So we kind of go back and forth, unless we have like a really strong idea that we want to, you know, have illustrated. Then, you know, that's kind of how we do things. Like the last one was my idea. So yeah, we kind of go back and forth.
That's awesome. I love that, man.
Yeah. Is her name like Shelly or something? I don't know.
Michelle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so yeah, Sheed and Shell. That's the nickname. Even though it's spelled Shell, you know, I kind of like Sheed and Shell as opposed to, you know, abbreviating sort of CHELLE. You know,
yeah.
Nice.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, I love it when I see something pop up on my timeline from that strip, dude. So keep making more strips for my selfishness.
Hey, no problem, man. Not a problem.
Well, you did say that you're going to try to print those strips this year, yeah?
Yeah. I'm actually going to try and print them. I have now total, I think there's 20 of them.
Nice.
And so I'm going to print them, and I've been doing, you know, weird things too. Like I've been making stickers and like buttons and keychain stuff from it. Yeah,
we can talk a little bit about it, you know, later on off air or whatever. But have you seen like the I don't know the exact dimensions of the books, but like they're the more oblong books rather than tall. You know what I'm saying? They're like short, this big,
like landscape.
Like you know, like the old Garfield comics would be in, like that size. I think that would be perfect for Sheed and Shell. And I would yeah. But yeah, we'll talk more about it later.
I like that.
But kind of speaking of you know, you kind of getting some stuff printed and all. So conventions, man. I know that this year you kind of did one or two conventions. I can't remember exactly, but with you kind of starting to do, because you did Comic Palooza a few years ago, right?
Yeah, 2019.
And that was like your first and only one, or you did a few kind of after that?
Oh no, that was my first and only one. I did one after. I mean, Comic Indie with you guys.
Yeah.
That was it. 2019 was my only one.
Oh wow. Okay, because I wanted to like ask, like, what are your, I guess, your financial goals with comics? Like, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to get out of your full-time job? Is this like a fun side project, or are you doing art stuff full time? Like, what's your situation there?
Right now, I think it's a fun side project, but the problem is that I'm liking it too much. Like I'm liking the craft, and I'm liking the community, and then so yeah, and I say that because I want to devote more time to both. You know what I mean? And obviously, I got to make a living, so you know, I got it's. I think immediately I would say it's a fun side project, but it's profitable, and it's been profitable.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like I honestly did not think. Let me tell you something, guys. I honestly did not think I would sell a single copy of this thing, man. Because it's like, who's gonna buy something from you? Like you there's this guy, you know, who makes this stuff, and then there's Berserk, and then there's America. American artists who make their books, so other indie artists that I follow, and I look go online and I'm like, who's gonna buy stuff from you? Well, people walk by your table and they pick it up. How much is this? And let me tell you, the first time I heard that, I don't think I think Michelle was right beside me, and I think she answered the question because I couldn't speak, you know. But yeah, that's a long-winded answer to that. But yeah, man.
Do you work as an engineer?
Yeah, I do. I work as an engineer right now. I graduated in electrical engineering, and I'm working as an instrument engineer right now.
Dope.
Yeah. But so, as you've kind of been getting more involved in the shows and everything, what is kind of like your 2024 look like? Are you trying to do, so you did some shows last year, this year kind of coming in. I know you already signed up for Comic Palooza this year, but are you going to try to do even more than last year? Maybe since, your kind of productivity is maybe going up a little bit more this year?
Absolutely, man. I actually I do. I want to try and hit some spots, even maybe travel a little if I can. But tabling at the event, I didn't get to see you guys too much, but tabling there and just interacting with other artists and other creators, actually, it hit something in me, man, and it really, I think it's only going to grow. Like, I really do want to meet other people and interact and maybe do something together. I actually there was a guy who has a collective, and he was just talking about gathering people for projects. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but it was nice to see that there's a gathering of indie artists, indie writers that want to do something, and that was fantastic.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you had a short story in the last issue of HCS too, so that was awesome. So that's kind of another one of those kind of outlets of those community driven projects.
Yeah, HCS is wonderful, by the way. Everybody should get it. It's a fantastic book. Yes. I
didn't bring it up just for Rasheed for Rasheed to say that, but since he did, no, that's awesome, man. Just kind of backtrack just a little bit of, we were kind of talking about your work, family life balance kind of things. Do you have like a set schedule? Like, are you in a regimented thing to, come home from here, hang out with the family, eat dinner, go to work on my comics for 2 hours, and then yada yada yada? Do you kind of have a thing like that?
I have to. With the kids and the wife, man, I have to. So, but it has changed over time. But so, for instance, during the week, most of my art time is done, I would say, past 6:30 p.m. And then I most of the time I'll stop at 8:30 to do some exercise, but yeah, that's usually the window. And then unless my wife will say, hey, because she's bought into it, you've seen her, she's bought in at the con, so
yeah.
And now she'll actually give me solo time to where I can actually work on this project, especially this next one. And so, but that varies depending on the needs of the kids. But yeah, usually it's daily. Monday through Friday, past 6:30. I get about a few hours to do some work.
Yeah, no, that's great, man. I think that's one of mine's. My schedule isn't so. Only you get these 2 hours, but I try to do something every day, right? Because I think that's because not only does it like help you for that day, it helps you to like think of what you need to do the next day too.
Yeah.
So it's like it's almost like it's like a chain reaction type of thing throughout the week.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, Ken.
I was about to say, do you think like your involvement in comics is snowballing towards like you want to work full-time in comics, or you want to like keep it as just the fun side hobby instead?
Yeah, I definitely want it to snowball, but if it was going to be anything, it would have to be indie, like all, and like
Oh, really?
maybe I'm green and I don't know what I'm talking about, man, but I want to keep this like, if I were to draw, I want to do it because I want to do it, right?
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
As opposed to getting hired by like a huge company and then, I'm the penciler or something, and then I'm working with the team. Maybe that's incredibly selfish, but if I do this, I gotta want to do it. I gotta, for the most part, because obviously, like during Wrench Tail's process, I didn't want to work on it, but then I'm like, you know what, I gotta finish this, and then, but yeah, for the most part, it is snowballing, but I definitely want to keep it as something that I want to do. I want to use that talent towards something I want to do. Yeah.
Right. And would you say that having a family has made you more, I guess, motivated to work on comics, or just how has it changed your outlook on doing the work?
The time that I get, I need to use it wisely, and I need to be efficient. But it has definitely, I would say, increased my desire. Ironically, because I got two boys, right, and they're gonna see what I'm making, and I want to make sure that I'm making something that it's going to be something that they can look at and appreciate, and so yeah, Dad made that, and
have they done that yet?
No,
have they done that yet?
No. Well, one has grabbed the pen and started drawing on the tablet, and oh man, that hit right here, man. That hit right here. Yeah, that hit right there.
You're like, no, dude, that thing's like $1,000. Get off of it. There you go. Yeah. There's a Sheed and Shell strip for you.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
What kind of go ahead, Rasheed?
No, just it has increased my desire in terms of this art, because I want to refine everything. Like I feel like I'm a student of the craft, to where man, you guys said one time, I can't remember, but it was something along the lines of I think Nico, I think you said you were 50% fan, 50% artist, or something like that. But I think I'm more of a fan than I am an artist, and so I want to make sure that they're that way too, if they go down that path. Because if you're both, or if you're more of I feel like if you're more of a fan, you can appreciate the craft, right? To where you're not churning out trash. You're making something that you're proud of and that's coming from the heart.
Right.
Yeah. Whereas, like, if you're maybe too involved in the details, you're consistently just worried about that rather than kind of like pleasing your ability to draw, or like your story. Like having the, like you said earlier, and I kind of agree with you there, Rasheed, where you were talking about, you want to keep your own stuff and you only want to work on your own things. Just, I haven't worked for any, crazy big publishers or anything, but the couple times that I did have, serious, more serious conversations with publishers and things like that, it kind of always disappointed me in the end, whereas if you're working for yourself and you're consistently doing comics, making stories just for yourself to please your own self, I mean, you won't hate your job.
Right.
So yeah, that I love hearing that. So at some point, do you think you would ever kind of venture into maybe like the webtoon space, or even go into something like a Kickstarter, for one of your books, or maybe make like a website for Sheet and Shell or something like that? Kind of, you know, you said it's snowballing, so like, are you going to kind of evolve that side of it too?
Yeah, I plan on this year to try and expand and not be so introverted. Hence going to cons. Hence tabling at a con, which I would definitely give you credit for or your encouragement, because I would have I still wouldn't. I would just be posting online or just keeping it local, but
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just trying not to be so introverted. So yeah, Sheet and Shell, I plan on it having its own site, and I plan on venturing out a little more. Yeah, definitely.
Nice.
Yeah, it's kind of hard navigating which avenue to go, because there's so many freaking ways out there to do this stuff, whether it's a website, whether it's for free on Webtoons, whatever.
Yeah, and have you guys done a Kickstarter before? I know. I remember you guys said you're going to, or you have.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Neither Ken nor I have. Ken is about to. So
yeah, March.
Okay.
Yeah, in March. So Ken's about to
I'm excited.
experience it.
Yeah, because you're the guinea pig, man. I want to see what this is. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna see what I can do, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing that I've been thinking a bunch about it, like which avenues to go, man. There's just so much out there to kind of you don't want to choose the wrong one, because if you choose the wrong one and dedicate all the time to the wrong one, or the one that's not going to be most beneficial, it's kind of like, damn, I knew I should have chose the other route.
Yeah.
But other than that, Ken, what else you got for Rasheed? Anything else?
The last question I got, and I had another one that was kind of a follow-up, but that one doesn't really matter. But this one is like, so then what do you see is missing in comics or even manga or webtoons today? And then how do you think you're filling that in with your work? Like, what do you think is missing in the market or in the whole space? And then what are you doing to fill that in?
Maybe I'm too introverted to see, but I feel like there isn't a strong community, like and remains in indie community, and remains an indie community. You know what I mean? As opposed to, because what I've seen is people will gather and they'll be creative, but then they'll separate and do their own thing. Obviously life happens, but they'll separate and move on to like bigger companies, as opposed to just establishing an indie community where you curate artists, you curate people that are zoned in on the craft and want to become better, and write better. And I feel like that's sort of a that's missing. Like I said, maybe I'm too introverted and I haven't seen it, but I just feel like there's a space, and that's missing. And me personally, Wrench Tail, I don't know what it is. Like, to be honest with you, because like I've had a lot of influences, and I think I'm slowly starting to see where they're coming from. Like, for instance, it's sort of post-apocalyptic, steampunk-ish, and I realized, oh wow, man, I really love Trigun. You know what I mean? Like, I watched Trigun too, and I realized, yeah, I'm probably drawing some influences from there. So, and that's to answer the question of like the market. I really haven't seen that in the market. I haven't seen like a steampunk, post-apocalyptic, electrical engineering sort of aspect, engineering in general.
Right.
Like, I haven't seen that in comics in general, and that's one thing that I want to try and bring to the indie comics universe, to where engineering is palatable. Because I think a lot of people look at it and they say, "Oh, I don't understand it," and then they move forward. Whereas I want to try and explain through the comic that it's really not really not that difficult to understand. You know, electricity and magnetism. It's really really simple. Kind of like, you know, what oh no, I mean, I was gonna say kind of like what Oda did with
Kid.
pirates. You know, huh?
Oh, I was about to say kid.
Oh, kid, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because his moves are essentially kind of like, you know, kind of where I want to go, where I don't want it too fantasy, you know, but I also want it, you know, sort of grounded in reality in terms of engineering and such.
Right.
But I feel like the market is missing that. I personally haven't seen any comics dealing with like engineering. I mean,
Yeah.
just
Nice.
anything like that.
And I was about to say, like, the first page of this is like really strong. It's just like it's just you don't know what's going on. It draws you in and it's like boom. It's like, whoa, what's this? What's happening here?
I
Yeah.
appreciate that. I didn't know how to start it, man, because I did not know how to start this. You know, like I said, I was still learning, and one thing I just thought was just do it, just boom. Don't think too much about it. Just start it, because yeah, I
Right.
had plans on what to do, but like, man, all right, now I'm actually putting pencil to paper. How do I actually start this thing? So
My favorite part was the battle scene, man. Like for real, like I like that the hammer that the girl is holding, it just kind of goes out and then retracts, and then like he has to kind of figure out a way to beat her with just with that mechanism alone.
yeah, yeah. Because one thing I wanted to show was he had a weakness, like the main character had, and he's content. You know, he's not contingent, but he's dependent on batteries. You know,
Oh, right, yeah.
and so you know, if there's no power. Then what is he going to do? And I wanted to show that he was intelligent. That's one thing I'm learning too, like to explain something without explaining something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Show but don't tell.
Yeah. And I'm slowly learning that art because I'm pulling from all these other comics. I'm like, why do I love Berserk so much? Why do I love this so much? Oh, well, you know, he's illustrating something, and you know, I'm understanding it through the illustration as opposed to a block of text explaining everything. You know,
Hmm.
so
Right.
yeah,
Do you read
Exactly.
any like instructional books to help with that?
no, I haven't read any.
Really?
No, I mean, if you got some good suggestions, I think you had one.
You got a really good one right behind you.
Yeah, that's a fact. That's
Oh
a
yeah.
fact. That is a fact. Yeah.
No, I mean like instruction. So you haven't read
Yeah.
any like how to do this, this, and that?
No.
Oh wow, that's dope.
No. I just take from like Hunter x Hunter. I really like how
Uh-huh.
the narration on Hunter x Hunter and how you can explain. I mean, I'm going to repeat myself, but just being able to portray something without using words and to be able to illustrate it effectively. And that's one thing I'm still learning, and I enjoy. That's why I love the craft because there's so much to learn. Um,
Right.
just drawing and going through it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
for sure.
mean, oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, Rashid, do you ever think you're gonna do some comics with color and stuff? Because that's like another kind of another tool that like to elicit emotions and kind of like that show don't tell
Yeah.
thing, you know?
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
is that something you'll consider exploring, or you stick in
Absolutely.
black? Yeah.
Absolutely. Because who there was a guy named I don't know his name, but the comic. Have you guys ever heard of Black Sad?
Yeah.
Yes, love Black Side.
I
Incredible. I mean, do you want to talk about watercoloring? Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
It's that book
Nasty.
is the artwork is just absolutely insane in that book.
Yep.
and so that's something that's that spoke to me. Like if you're gonna color, you're gonna want to do something like this because this is amazing,
Right.
Yeah, dude.
amazing. Him and Alex Ross, like man, okay, I could go
So
on forever.
yes, so Rashid will be
Yes,
a master watercolorist by next year.
Next year. Yep.
yes.
That's awesome stuff, man. I didn't realize you had Wrench Tail available online. That's cool.
I completely
But
forgot that I put it on. Yeah,
he's like, no, don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody.
I
Cut that
completely
part out.
Because when you mentioned, I think when you mentioned Webtoon, I was looking for Webtoon, like a place to put it online, and then I found out that Webtoon or Tapas, if I recall, like if you post it on their site, they have some sort of like ownership of it, or am I completely wrong on that?
No, I don't think they have ownership, but I've been told about that and not to put it on there, but I don't think they have ownership unless you have a contract with them.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that's my guess. I don't know the full thing, but I still have my comic up there. There hasn't been any issues with that.
Yeah, so I didn't put it there, but I put it on the site called Comic Fury, where
Yeah,
you just you just host. You have space to host, and you just put up your own comic, and you get your own URL, and boom, yeah.
Nice. What was that site called again, Rasheed?
ComicFury.com.
Comic Fury.
And so you get your own little space to post up comics, sequential order, and then people can see it. You know?
I like how they have the little tool down there, kind of like the little arrows that you can. It makes it feel a little bit more like an actual comic.
Yeah.
That's good stuff, man.
Yeah, it's definitely like webcomic style on there.
Yeah, for sure. All right, man. I think Ken, do you have anything else for Rasheed?
The last question I wanted to ask was like what your ultimate goal in comics is. Like, how far do you want to push the craft?
I want to make something like Berserk. You know what I mean?
Really?
And that's not possible because the manga, because they literally give their lives for the craft. Literally.
Yeah, they really do.
So, but it's such an influential. It's an epic. You know what I mean? To me, it's the biggest piece of literature that I've read. And I want to make something that has that sort of an impact. Because I mean, I can go on for days about it. There's just so many levels to it. And so I want to make something like that.
Nice.
That probably is my ultimate goal. And just to look back and then read over it, and then every time you read it, something new pops out at you. You know,
right?
That's what I want to make. That's what I want to make.
Nice.
Something that has a deep meaning. That's sort of my ultimate goal.
Awesome, man. That's the first time I've heard Berserk be referred to as literature, man.
Yeah,
it is literature.
It is, man.
It's a big book.
Nice.
Awesome, guys. Well, Rasheed, this was fantastic, dude. We appreciate you so much for joining us here. This was an awesome talk. Let the good people out there know where can they find you, where can they read Sheed and Shell, where can they find Wrenchtail, all that good stuff, man.
You can find me online, Instagram, Rasheezy, @Rasheezy, on Twitter, @Rasheezy, and YouTube probably coming soon, @Rasheezy.
Ooh,
no, that'd be dope.
Ooh, twist.
We'll
be on Rasheed's show next the next month.
I'm following you guys' footsteps, man. Yeah.
That's awesome, dude.
Nice.
Heck yeah. Ken, how about you, man? What you got?
Everybody can find me on X or Twitter at thecomicsgrind, and then you can also find me on YouTube at comicsgrind. And then I'll be running my Kickstarter this coming March, and you guys can sign up for it below the video. I have an email list that I'm running, and you can also read Air Rider High School Hero, my comic, on Global Comics.
Awesome. And you guys can find me at Nico Writes and on Instagram and on X and on Threads. Trying to post more on that Thread stuff. It may be an emerging platform. I don't know. We'll see. You guys can also follow me for free on my Substack at nicorodriguez.substack.com. substack.com. Posting my webcomic called Brew Monsters there every Friday, a new page. So go on and check that out. It's for free. So why aren't you reading it? Just read it. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you next time.
Peace.